It is still the 6th day of September 2023, and it's Wednesday, and Tega Onojiafe has joined me inside the locker room. Good morning, Tega.
Good morning, hump of the week, locker room, and a lot is going on. All right, so I hope you've had a great week so far. This is the international break in football. So hope you are enjoying it. First of all, we've seen pictures coming out of Cameroon's camp. It seems like Onana is talking to his coach Rigobe Song, so there's no quarrel there again. They've made up peace. There's peace in the land for now. Um, we also know that Spain have finally sacked their coach Jorge Vilda. Now we'll talk about that story eventually, but I just want to mention that that has happened. What else is new? Oh, the US Open. Some crazy things are going on there. We'll talk about that. In fact, one of the crazy things kept me up till this morning because I do remember that by the time it was 4 a.m., that's when they were playing the the third set between Blake Shelton and Francis Tiafoe. So we'll also talk about that. But before we do that, Omatseye, please tell us, how can we be a part of the locker room today?
All right, so I'll do this for free and then twice even free on Sunday for you, Tega. So let's get this started. And we expect the messages to come on to 0809-444-0981. That's for WhatsApp messages and responding to any of the stories we'll be taking inside the locker room, 0809-444-0981. Be sure to also race down to YouTube if you can catch up the stories there also as we get to discuss youtube.com/Smooth 981 FM. That's Lagos. You'll find us there. Also on social media, so you can find us on facebook.com/Smooth 981 FM on Facebook. And then now on X too, you can find us at Smooth 981 FM. Tega, we're good to go.
All right. That is it. But first of all, let's take the headlines.
Now, AFCON qualifier, Super Eagles camp for South Tome clash opens Wednesday, and if I check the calendar, today is Wednesday, so it means today, it opened today, right? Then Djokovic golf steam into the US Open semifinals as Spain appoints first woman to coach women's national team after the Kiss scandal. Then comes England midfielder Anderson defends move to Saudi Arabia as Mason Greenwood on loan Manchester United forward addresses Getafe fans at unveiling. Then Manchester United under pressure to act over Anthony as Premier League. Howard Webb says Nathan Ake goal for Man City should not have stood. And then comes Club World Cup draw. Man City start against Club Leon or Urawa Reds. That's what we see. But now let's get into the beginning.
So we start from the very first story here in Nigeria, and it concerns the Super Eagles.
And it goes with a bit of it here. The Super Eagles will get preparations for their final 2023 African Cup of Nations AFCON qualifier against Sao Tome and Principe underway when camp opens on Wednesday. This was disclosed on the Super Eagles X handle on Monday.
All right. So yes, players started arriving yesterday. I think Gift Urban was the first person to arrive. I was like, guy, you've been waiting for this call up since. So he had a fantastic season last time out, and a lot of people thought he would have been called to the national team earlier. But again, you have to understand position. When it comes to Super Eagles players in Nigeria and in diaspora, we have forwards are plenty. And that's not even where Nigeria's problem is. It's the midfield. We need a creative midfielder. So there's always that question of who's going to be the creative midfielders that we're going to invite. And then in the goalkeeping part, well, Francis Uzoho is back in, but there's still questions about which goalkeeper is the best. So those are the areas that you say that you have, real deficiencies. But when it comes to forwards, we have them at plenty. In fact, the coach's problem is not forwards because he has 99 problems, but strikers is not one of them. He has them everywhere. And so that can pose a problem to a lot of Nigerian players because you say, oh, why don't you invite this person? Why don't you invite that person? They all play the same role. and they are all prolific in their different, leagues and in their different clubs. So the question now becomes, who do you drop and who do you pick? It now becomes a question of fit, and so it's going to be hard to just see them bring in new players in some positions, in the Super Eagles. But the opportunity has opened up for them, because of some players have lacked form in recent times. So opportunities have opened up for Boniface and Gift Orban, and so they are on the team. Now we have to find out how they fit into the Super Eagles, because it's one thing to be a good player, it's another thing to fit into the squad. And with the national teams, you don't have as much time as you do with your club side. Your club side, you have the league season, you have the different league cups to feature in. But with your national team, you show up on Wednesday, you play on Saturday. There's not enough time for chemistry to build, for adjustment, for communication. So you have to hit the ground running, and sometimes that has been the problem with inviting new players. But yeah, Gift has had this opportunity and he's taken it, and he's now on the team. But let's see how that pans out for Nigeria. But we play against Sao Tome and Principe in Uyo. So most of the team will be in Uyo. If you can, fly down to Uyo and support the Super Eagles. If not, you'll be able to catch it on your screens. The Super Eagles of Nigeria versus Sao Tome and Principe.
You go about, if you can fly down to you, don't exclude people who want to drive or probably ride a bicycle down ahead. It will still be time enough to get to you now. Don't make it look like only flyers will go to you to watch the Super Eagles.
Sorry, if you start driving today, you arrive there by tomorrow. It's okay.
Please include us. Just make sure next time, always put us in the picture of these things, those who would even trek even. But let's get on to the tennis court where you spend sleepless part of the day also already. Djokovic golf's team into US semifinals. Novak Djokovic charged into his 13th US Open semifinal on Tuesday with a straight set win against Taylor Fritz, while home favorite Coco Gauff stayed on track for a first Grand Slam title.
All right. So huge one yesterday. Like I said before, if I've not mentioned it, then let me mention it again. That Novak Djokovic's side of the draw is the easy side. Is the easier side. Let me not say easy side. Is the easier side. And when I was looking at his draw, I didn't see anybody there that could really test him, all the way to the finals. And that's tricky. You're talking about Grand Slam here. You're looking at Novak Djokovic, and you're looking at the generation after the next gen trying to come through. But his side of the draw is beautiful. Yes, he faced a little bit of struggle with his countryman Laslo Djere, but even then, when Laslo Djere was leading by 2-0, you knew that Novak Djokovic was coming to win that. The tricky players are on the Carlos Alcaraz side. So Carlos Alcaraz is going to face Alexander Zverev today. And should he defeat Alexander Zverev, he's going to face Daniel Medvedev next. Before he now comes to face Novak Djokovic. It's not, yes. There's no, the tricky players the tough players are on his end of the draw. But on Novak Djokovic's side is the easier one. However, you have to beat the players in front of you. You can't say just because they're easy, I'm going to jump over them. No, and he did that. Taylor Fritz is one player that he also has a good head-to-head record against. Yeah, prior to last night, he had beaten Taylor Fritz 7 times, and they had met only 7 times. So yesterday wasn't the day that Taylor Fritz was going to mount his stand, and he didn't. Even Djokovic was not playing his best tennis on the day. He struggled with his first serves, but he still managed to win the match pretty comfortably. So not a tough one, just a good day at the office, good preparation for his next match. Now, his next match comes against this young cat who kept me up till these early hours of this morning, and his name is Ben Shelton. Now, a lot of you may not have heard about Ben Shelton, but Shelton, at this time last year, he was ranked number 108 in the world. Because of this win that he had against Francis Tiafoe, he's going to get into top 20. That's how much he's grown in 1 year's time. But he's a 20-year-old American who used to play on the NCAA championship. In fact, he won the NCAA singles championship. That's as a university student from Florida. This is only his 5th Grand Slam experience. and he's already in the semi-final to face Novak Djokovic. Now, his father actually used to be a tennis player, Brian Shelton, but his father could only manage to be, his best ranking was world number 55. So you know how you pray as a father that your child will do better than you. His son is already doing better. Now he has one of the best serves on the tour. He hits one of the biggest serves on the tour. We're talking 145 mph. We're talking 147 mph. But his most consistent serves are about 113, 116. So he's a big hitter. When it comes to his serves, his forehand is big, but he makes a lot of unforced errors because he's an aggressive player. And on that note, I know that Novak Djokovic, the experienced man, is going to pick him up. But it will be interesting to see how he tests or he squares up against Novak Djokovic. So that's Novak Djokovic end of the draw. On the women's side, though, Coco Gauff, like I said, since she got this her coach Pereriba, she has been growing in leaps and bounds. And yesterday she faced Yelena Ostapenko, the player who knocked out former number one ranked player Iga Swiatek.
Is this how you dispense with people once they just get off the ladder? Is this how you just?
No. We have to give the new title. She's former number one because the new number one is Aina Sabalenka. This is not shading. This is just a statement of fact.
All right.
So she knocked Ostapenko knocked her out, and Iga Swiatek and Ostapenko faced Coco Gauff. Now a lot of people expected this to be tough, but yesterday was one of the hottest days in the US Open, and we figured they were going to struggle. Now, unfortunately for the women's side, when they're talking about the weather being pretty hot, the only people that they gave consideration were men, because Novak Djokovic and Taylor Fritz, who played after Ostapenko, played under a partially closed roof so that they could use the AC. There was some coolness. Coco Gauff and Ostapenko played under the open roof. Nobody cared about nobody cared about their the heat wave or anything. And so Ostapenko struggled under the weather conditions. That's number one. But even more so, number two, she just couldn't find her game. And that's the thing about Yelena Ostapenko. I've said it before, Yelena Ostapenko can beat any woman on tour. Any woman on tour, she can beat her. But the problem with Yelena Ostapenko is that you don't know, she's like a box of chocolates. You don't know which one you are going to get on the day. Some days she's very good, and on her bad days she is horrible. And yesterday was a bad day, and she was horrible. That's not to take away from Coco Gauff, but Coco Gauff has grown in leaps and bounds, and she's now through to her semi-final. So we'll see how that pans out for her. But that is how it has been. Crazy busy.
Okay, just before we let you go, we know you mentioned this woman the last time you were here, and you said this, how can she move on with this seeming nauseousness? So before they would now accuse you of washing people's, but then we said, okay, but it seemed like Ons Jabeur couldn't sustain it any longer. I don't know, but
she couldn't. I mean, by the time she came on court against Zheng, it was a poor display. She tried. She hit some beautiful shots during some rallies, but she couldn't sustain momentum. She couldn't win consecutive points. Everything was a battle, and she was second best from the beginning to the end. I think eventually that illness caught up with her, because, like I said, she'd been ill for most of the tournaments, and so it carried on till she came up against Zheng, and Zheng just played good enough tennis to qualify. I think it was a journey to fight. I think also, Ons Jabeur did well enough to get to the level she did. Because with that illness, I didn't even think she could have gone past round one. But she did well enough to get to the round of 16. So tough one. But
we're at the red light right now. So Tega, we just like to go on this quick one, but then let the listener know we can get their thoughts in when we come back on 0809-444-0981. You're listening to The Locker Room on Smooth 98.1 FM.
I could hear me play after we finished. It's like there was a feedback. Is that what happened? Oh, okay.
What does future forward banking mean to you? Speed, innovation, convenience, lifestyle goals, or just simply getting service that is designed just for you? Yeah, we thought you might like all of that and more. That is why we specially created Providence Bank for you to take care of your daily experiences. At Providence Bank, we believe that banking should be all about you and your business and how to get you to the next level. If you do not already have a Providence Bank account, please speak with our business concierge on 0700 77 684 387 or email businessconcierge@providencebank.com to switch to a future forward banking experience. Providence Bank, future forward banking.
Anytime they bow, stand together with you always as you pursue your dreams to make life better and it go better after 3 days if body no tranga. Go see doctor now. Now Stamina Healthcare Limited with them market Edu cap always with you. Yes, it's
We're smooth 98.1 FM, and you're still inside the locker room with Tega Onojiafe. My name is Omatseye Atsenuwa. Tega, we get on to this next one. Spain appoints first woman to coach Spain's national team after the kiss scandal. Spain's Soccer Federation, RFEF, has appointed Omatseye to succeed the fired George Vilda as the women's national team coach, making her the first woman to manage the side, it said on Tuesday.
Sorry, yes. So we know how the incident went with the Spanish national team. Now a lot of people have said Jorge Vilda was fired just because he applauded Rubiales, but that's not exactly what happened. You do remember that the Spanish women had this protest before the World Cup that there was abuse in camp from Jorge Vilda himself. Only for Jorge Vilda to lead the team to the World Cup. So he already had that in his record, like there was already invasive behavior from the coach. And then he gets to the World Cup and Rubiales does this. And Jorge Vilda is one of those that when Rubiales was giving his defiance speech that he was not going to resign, Jorge Vilda was one of those that applauded. Not only did he applaud, but when his entire coaching staff resigned, Jorge Vilda did not join them to resign. In fact, he was given a new contract just a few days ago by Rubiales. So it was indicative of a pattern of behavior, and that's the new thing that Spain wants to be moving away from. The truth of the matter is, now in football, Spain has been noticed as been, well, marked as a misogynist and racist federation. So it is the image that they are fighting against on both ends. And so they were going to, of course, they were going to deal with him. Now, my issue with the way he was fired, I think it was a long time coming. However, the lady that they hired, would she be up to scratch? Because it appears like they just hired a woman so that they won't have all these problems at this point in time. So she's going to have a lot to prove. Remember that the Spanish women's team are world champions. So she's going to have a lot to prove coming into this season. She's going to have to hit the ground running. She's going to have to start with wins. So it's a really tough situation, I would say, for her. And most in general, I tend to see this in sports when, they tend to hire the woman after a major crisis. And so it just makes things a little harder sometimes for the woman to carry, because you're not hiring her in the best of times. You're hiring her when we have to clean up image and at the same time perform well on the team. I want to see how this works out eventually. But yes, Hohevilda firing was not just about him supporting Rubiales, it was about his history of abuse.
Now, now you've kicked out, including the audience table in the Spanish football, you've kicked out the antelope. But the big elephant in the room is still left there. What are we waiting for?
It's not just going to be easy to just kick him out. They remember that they even took the case to court. First of all, it's going to be interference because some of the federation members actually support Rubiales. So remember that Spain was trying to use the court to kick him out, and the court said the offense was serious, but it was not very serious. That they only remove people for very serious offense. I've not heard that one before. It was serious, but not very serious. And that's the judgment that was given. Yeah. That the offense was serious, but it was not very serious. So maybe I would say that the offense was yellow card, but it was not red card.
Okay, I see what you did there now. Good.
So they couldn't kick him out. So I think that situation is still going to be dealt with overall. But I think the easiest one to handle was the coach, and so they've handled that. But let's see how it progresses from there. But this situation didn't have to get this deplorable, is all I can say.
All right, this helps us drift into the next conversation. It has a Saudi connection to it, but then it's related to England midfielder Henderson defending move to Saudi Arabia. England midfielder Jordan Henderson has responded to criticism by defending his decision to join Saudi Arabian club in an interview published by the Athletic on Tuesday.
All right, so let me just address the situation. So, Jordan Henderson, who left Liverpool this season, came out to give an interview that he was hurt, that people were saying that he moved to Saudi Arabia for money. That the reason he moved was because he started to see that he was not as important to Liverpool anymore, and that he left because that's the way Liverpool treated him because of the playing time, and that he feels that he can also go to Saudi Arabia and do more and change the mindset of the people with regards to LGBTQ and the rest and human rights and all. And I'm just like, that's a lot of crock you're talking. I'm sorry. First of all, I want to say this. I don't think anybody should be ashamed that they made a career move for money. Because the first reason why you're working is to make money. So why are you ashamed when people say you made a career move for money? Is that not part of the reason that you are building a career? You obviously didn't make it for footballing reasons. Let's not deceive ourselves. There are many clubs in England that would have received him with open arms. He didn't go there. He went to Saudi Arabia. He looked at the stuff. He was like, I'm already reaching pension age. Let me collect pension money. That's what he did. Any other thing, and so it's ridiculous to think that people will be silly enough to believe this interview. I think what it is just own it with your full chest. That's the only thing I'd say. It's a career move. Of course it's going to be a money-making move. There are two things you want to do in your career. You either want to make money or you want to get a greater position, or you want to get a position of influence. That's it. You shouldn't be ashamed to make those kind of moves.
Tega.
So I don't know why. I mean, that interview was absolute nonsense. I understand him saying that he didn't feel like he was needed in Liverpool.
And explain until he's tired. And you will keep
no evidence.
You will keep telling him this thing you are saying now, that look, it is first for money, accept it or leave it.
Or leave it.
And forget it. So Tega, this next one comes for you. It's Mason Greenwood on loan to Man United forward addresses Getafe fans at unveiling, as he says that he's very happy to be at Getafe on loan as a forward addressing the fans at his unveiling.
This was a huge one that could have broken the internet, but there were other news going on the day. I would say this. This is what I thought Manchester United should have done, because first of all, I don't think that anybody should suffer for the rest of their lives for some things that they did when they were 19. I don't think anybody. I do believe that, you know. I mean, people make a lot of, as teenagers, we made a lot of terrible decisions, and I don't think that anybody should suffer for the rest of their lives for it. However, some people do feel that he got away with domestic violence. Some people do think that he got away with domestic violence because he's a footballer or he's a professional athlete, and they tend to get away with these things. And those people are not entirely wrong because, you know, there's history and there's precedent. We know the stories. However, I didn't think that he should suffer for the rest of his life for this thing. And I do think that because he's so talented, it was the first thing Manchester United should have thought about. You know, immediately the case was dropped. The most important thing was get this guy into therapy so that we are sure that as a person, he's getting better. And then the next thing was loan him out quickly and quietly. They didn't need to drag it on. They didn't need all that hula baloo of waiting for the women, for the Manchester United women's team to come and talk. They didn't need to drag it on. I think the way Manchester United handled the situation made it even worse. So at this point in time, Getafe will be happy for their man because Manchester United is still going to pay some of his salary.
All right.
So it's not a financial extension on them.
Okay, just link up on this Manchester United story.
I'm going to
also
come to the Anthony. Yes. So it's not an extension on them. So Getafe would feel that they're getting a good player and they're getting him at a financial cost that they can easily afford, that they wouldn't have been able to afford without all the drama that comes with Mason Greenwood. So let's see how it works out for both player and Getafe. On that note, because of the way Manchester United handled the Mason Greenwood incident, now another player, Anthony, has been accused by his girlfriend of domestic violence. This time, the case is not in Spain, is in England. Sorry, the case is in Brazil. And so Brazil said that Brazil has dropped him from the World Cup squad. Brazil was like, just for the player's sake, for the alleged victim's sake, and to protect also the team from distraction, we are going to drop him till the investigations are over. But she accused him of domestic violence, that, you know, he threw a glass at her and she got an injury that showed her bone, and that was it. And so now the fans are pressuring Manchester United that they must do something about Anthony because they didn't handle the Mason Greenwood case well. Anthony himself has come out to give a statement. He did admit that they had a verbally tumultuous relationship, so they used to fight each other, but they never got physical. And so he's waiting for the investigation to be overturned. At the end of the day, I still think that you can say Brazil were hasty to remove this guy from their squad, but they had to do something because it was becoming a distraction. Because all that the press was asking players when they arrived in camp was about Anthony, and they don't need that distraction. And I have a feeling that that's what will happen to Manchester United again because of the Mason Greenwood incident. So it's a tough one. I think at the end of the day, that Premier League program that they want to do to teach players about abuse is going to come in really handy.
All right, we've got company in the locker room as we get ready to wrap up the show this morning. We've got Chris saying, why do people always say players are moving to Saudi for non-play footballing reasons? And they playing football in Saudi Arabia? Why do Europeans feel entitled and think other continents don't deserve the best footballers? Are players playing in Europe for free in the first place? That's according to Chris. And then comes
exactly, which is why you shouldn't deny it. You move there for better money to play football. That's it. I didn't say he was not moving for footballing reasons only. I'm saying that it is crock, and I don't know the correct morning word to use. It is arrant nonsense to tell us you didn't move for the money, because the minute you see that money, you're moving. At that age, you are moving.
Okay. And next comes Tayo is also inside the locker room, and he says, in Spanish football, a case can change many things if you don't believe me. You can go and find out. Princess Tega, should everybody in that room clapping be sacked? Don't worry, as long as Barcelona women are doing the team, it's okay. Everybody has to go to. Go on.
I don't think there was. That's what I said. This is what I tried to correct. So Tayo, when we listening to the context, like I said, Jorge Vilda was not only sacked for clapping. He had history of. He was one of the people that started it. He had the history of the abuse prior to the World Cup. So it's all that culminated into this. So again, people are saying, "Oh, he was fired because he supported Rubiales." That's not the only reason. There was precedent. And supporting Rubiales just cemented it.
Okay,
so I need to correct that impression so that we don't carry that and run with it.
Right,
he was not sacked because he clapped.
Let's close up with this one. And he goes on to say, let Greenwood breathe. We owe him that responsibility. Don't suffocate him in Getafe. However, we can apply pressure on Anthony because he's doing 360 with his own case. Sad Brazil dropped him. That's the wrap. We should take out.
On that note, yeah, let's wrap up the let's wrap up the show on that note. We'll see how it pans out with Getafe and Mason Greenwood. But again, don't say Jorge Vilda was fired because he was clapping. That's not the only reason. There's a lot of build up to that. And then we have to also look out for the Super Eagles. Players arrive today. Again, if you can, arrive in Uyo and watch live football because it will be interesting to see.
All right, Tega. Have a great day, Tega.